Hi, it's John Kreider from Thor Motor Coach, and today we'd like to talk a little bit about the Tellaro and Sequence and how to use your motorhome.
This coach overall is about 20 feet long, and what's really exciting about this coach is that it is built with our reliable lithium battery package. So when you first enter the coach side door here, obviously you can get in and out of the door through this handle, or there's a handle on the inside. We always want to take and turn on the house battery. That's what makes everything work. So the whole entire time you have the vehicle, there'll be no reason for you to turn the house battery off unless you just are leaving the vehicle for 3 or 4 days and not going to be in it at all. So the house battery is located right here. It's an on-off switch. When you get ready to get in the vehicle, you simply just turn it to the on position. And once you turn it to the on position, now everything on the coach starts to power up. So this vehicle has a multiplex wiring system on it, which is really cool because everything is controlled from a single panel, which we'll take a look at just a little bit later. The panel itself takes about 1 minute to boot up because it's Android based, and once it boots up, then our controls for our heating and our air conditioning and for our lights and everything like that will be in place. And then when we look at it just in a few minutes, you'll see that there's some hard buttons you can actually turn lights on earlier. So on the outside of the vehicle, we do have a step up here. The door is a sliding door. Nothing to it. Work our way down the vehicle here. You can see up above, we do have a patio awning. So the patio awning is something that you'll be able to use, and we'll show you how to do that. It's a legless patio awning, so it can go out without having any legs. And then if it gets really windy outside, there actually is a way that you can tie it down to the side of the vehicle to make it more secure so you don't have to worry about it rolling up on itself. Outside here, a couple things. You've got a couple electrical outlets. So there's a couple 110 volt outlets. So if you want to plug anything in, there it is. You also have an outlet here for satellite, which I would guess you're probably not going to add satellite, but if you did, that's where it would go. You also have an LP connector here. So if you had a gas grill or anything you want to hook up, that's a place you can tie into the LP system on the vehicle. As we work our way around to the back of the coach, you'll see that you have a couple of keys here. These are actually for the Truly bike rack, so those are on your keychain. What they do is they lock and unlock the locks that are on top of this. So lock, unlock. You can see here, we loosen up all of our connectors. And once we loosen up all of our connectors, we can flip this out of the way. This comes up and out of the way. This flips down, and once that flips down, now you can move these two parts, line it up with your bicycle. These will do two 26-inch bicycles, so full-size adult bicycles. So when you're all finished, you simply just put the bike rack back down, put everything back up, and then you can take and you can lock the locks again. That way people won't be able to screw around with your stuff, or if you have anything connected to it. So lock it, we're good to go. From there, let's take a look inside the back here, because we're gonna have to grab a few things out of the back. So passenger side door, driver side door. There's a few things I want to point out here. So first of all, this is kind of your wet bath area. We'll talk about the bath itself on the inside, but in the bathroom area here, we've got your shower area. We've got a shower curtain. It goes on a track all the way around the top. You also have your sink. So your sink flips down. You have your faucet that goes in and out of the way, hot and cold water. You also have your shower head. And what we recommend is that you take and you close the two doors, take the shower curtain, go all the way around. Now you block everything from getting wet inside the shower. Also, you've got your toilet. Your toilet is a foot flush toilet. So every time you use the toilet, you just simply push down on there and it fills up the tank. Once the tank is full, then we'll talk about dumping that. The other thing we'll talk about is toilet paper. Toilet paper is in this nifty holder right here. So we take the toilet paper, we want to make sure that the roll goes on so it's coming out instead of in. We take and we put it back in here. And the really cool thing about this is when you close it, it actually rolls the toilet paper backwards, so that way it doesn't stick out the bottom and get all wet. So super easy. In the back of the coach here, you're going to have a outside shower line. That outside shower line simply plugs in right here. Once it's plugged in, we'll have water pressure. We also have the water pump switch back here. So you need the water pump on anytime you're not connected to city water. So the water pump we want to make sure is on. You can kind of hear it run in the background. Once it becomes pressurized, it'll turn off, and that's all there is to it. There really won't be a time where you'll probably turn the water pump off the whole entire time you're using the vehicle. There's also a light switch back here. That light switch actually turns on the side light where your holding tank area is. And then when you want to take and you want to disconnect the hose, you simply just push in on the connection comes out, drains, and then everything can be thrown into this area here. You have a power cord, which we're gonna go hook up here in a minute. And then if you're hooked up to city water, which would be from your house, from the campground, any place that's got flowing water, you connect that to the coach. So if we take that, we can go around to the other side of the coach here. This is where all the work takes place on the side of this vehicle. So we do have our water here. So if you're hooked up to city water, that's your house or anything like that, that goes into this connection. If you simply just want to fill up the water tank that's on the vehicle, you use this connection. So this fills up the water. And then over here on the side, there's a couple things to point out. So we have our 110 volt electrical connection here, and we also have our LP. You can see here the LP tank is on. When it's off, the light goes off. When it's on, the red light stays on. This is filled right now, so when you get the vehicle, propane is full, so you'll have plenty for your hot water heating, for your furnace, anything. And then also, if you're plugged in somewhere, campground, a house, whatever, you simply can take the electrical cord, which is located in the back, and we connect it to this 30 amp service. We connect it by putting it in and twisting it. And how will I know? I'll know that I've got power if I plug in the cord and the green light on the cord comes on and then the blue light on the outside comes on. So it tells me I'm getting power from the cord into the vehicle. Satellite connection here, you won't worry about that. And then finally, on the outside here, you can see this is where your fuel fill is. So this is a gasoline powered motorhome, takes regular 87 unleaded, so all good to go. It does not run on E85, so please don't use any E85 or any alternative fuels. Here on the outside, dumping your holding tanks is going to be something that you may have to do while you're on the trip. So a couple of things. First of all, the handles for the sewer tank connections are located back behind the vehicle here. There are two handles. There's one that's gray and one that's black. Black is where all the toilet water comes from. Gray is where all of your shower and sink water come from. We have a cap over the top here. We take and we unscrew the cap. And once we unscrew the cap, you can see that we have our 3-inch connection. We do have a sewer hose. The sewer hose has some lugs on it, and it's pretty simple. All we have to do is take and twist it on, connects the sewer hose. Once we have the sewer hose connected, and that's going to a official place to dump your tanks, we want to do two things. First of all, we want to pull the black water first. The black water with all the solids and liquids goes down first. So once we pull the black tank, everything comes out. Once that's kind of done, we come back and we pull the gray tank. The gray tank has all the gray water in it, so we use our sink soapy water to push everything from the black tank down. When we get ready to go back in, we do the exact same thing. We push the black tank in first, we push the gray tank in second. Then, with our outside shower that we showed over there, usually it's a pretty good idea to take and we'll unscrew this from the lug, making sure that nothing leaks onto the ground. We'll put our cap back on, and then we can take and kind of pull this to the back, and then we can use that outside shower with the hot water, and we can take and we can spray it down and make sure that everything's cleaned out. Then we'll take our hose, and our hose will come back and go into the sewer tank area. So, or the sewer tank hose storage, slide it back in there, and then you'll be ready to hit the road again. One thing I will mention is in the back of the coach, you would have seen a ladder, which we'll kind of move back to here in a second. And there is a magnetic piece. It's on the back door here. So we simply just take this magnetic part here, and then if we want to see something on the roof or put something on the roof, we simply take it, line it up with this body line right here, sticks to the side of the coach. We can take and we can undo the legs that are here. And then we've got our ladder. So our ladder is here. You won't have to do this when you get it. Take our ladder off of the wall here, pull it outside. We release the ladder. And then what we can do is we can put it right up against the part that we put here, and then we feed our lines back through to hold it in place. So that way, when we want to get up on top of the vehicle, we don't have to worry about it sliding off one way or the other, and now we can get to the top without any problem. Up here on the top, there's probably not much that you'll have to do, but there is your solar panel. There is a roof rack, so if there is something you want to put on top of the vehicle, there's a roof rack, air conditioner, your Wi-Fi antenna, all located up here on the roof. And then when you want to get down, simply just loosen this up, pop the ladder off, and you can see on the bottom side of the ladder, there's some of these different latches here, and that will help us bring the ladder back down into place. So just start each one comes down. And then at the very bottom here, you can release these two tabs, and then that is what finishes up bringing the ladder back into place. Back inside, onto our mount, and back to where we started. That's all there is to it. Here we go, up inside of the vehicle. Remember before we turn on that battery switch? So our battery's on. So now that our battery is on, we have a couple things. This is the control panel for our lithium battery package called the Reliable package. You can see that the battery level is at 100%. This battery is 11,000 watts. So it's got more than enough to run everything inside of this vehicle. There's a couple things on here. We have an auto start system. We also have a way that you charge the battery every time you start the engine. We'll talk about that in a couple minutes. If we work our way up, fire extinguisher, 110 volt outlet. This is your solar charging panel. It tells you how many volts are in the battery at 13.6, and it tells you whether it's charging or not charging. Then once we go inside, right when you walk inside the door, here's your multiplex panel. Once we turn that battery on, we simply just touch the screen, and now everything comes up on the screen. If we want to, as soon as we turn that battery on, we can turn lights on by just hitting 1, 2, 3, and 4. That'll turn all the main ceiling lights on. And then we can always go to the panel where it says lights, and we can look at our individual lights. There is a dimming feature, so I can take it. I could dim the lights in the living room, the kitchen. I can turn them on and off from this individual panel. Or if I go back to the home screen, I can just hit all lights off, all lights on. If you take and you dim the lights, it'll stay at the same level until you turn the dimmer back up. A few other things here. You'll see this is your water pump. Remember in the back we turn the water pump on. You can turn the water pump in the back on and off. Here you can turn it on and off. Tank heaters. If it's going to be around freezing, I would recommend that you turn the tank heaters on. Tank heaters keep everything that's inside of your tank from freezing. You can also see your tank levels. So right now, fresh water, gray water, black water. Fresh water is the potable water you have in place that you use when you use the sink, the shower, or the toilet. Gray water is all the water that's drained that actually is from your sink, from your shower, and then the black water is everything that comes from the toilet. So smallest tank is the black tank, gray tank, fresh tank. You also have your awning. So on our awning, we simply just hit the extend button. The extend button will take and it'll move the awning out. So we pushed it one time, the awning comes out, and we'll talk a little bit about that here in just a second. While the awning is coming out, let us take a look at a few other things. So, air conditioning control. So, on the multiplex, we control the air conditioning. The heater is actually controlled at a different area. So, if we want our air conditioning to come on, we hit the power button, and then we set our temperature based on what it's going to be. And then we go cool here, and we've got cool auto, or we've just got fan. So, pretty simple. We could also turn the fan speed up and down. We go high, low. Most of the time we're just going to put it on cool auto. You can leave this on even if you're going to leave the vehicle for the day. So that way if you want it to be cool when it gets back, it's going to be ready for you. If it needs heat, we'll actually make sure that this is not on, and then we'll show you the heat control here in just a second. We already looked at the lights. You can see the different lights. The awning has a light on the outside, which is pretty cool. You got an outside light. You've got your front accent living room, bedroom, kind of broken up into zones. We also have here, it tells us what our battery levels are. So coach is at 13.2, chassis at 12.4, LP tank is full, and we also have some fans. So there's a kitchen vent and there's a bathroom vent. You can turn on either one of those vents from here. The one thing I will mention in the kitchen is that the vent actually has to be raised in order for it to work. So we turn the kitchen vent on and then we raise it. As soon as we start raising it, that will actually make it where the fan will turn on. So pretty simple. So before we move any further into the coach, let's just take a look at this awning. So this awning is made by Thule, and it's a really cool awning. It's got no legs on here, which you can see, but there are times when you want to put legs out. So if you want to put the legs out, they're built into the front rail of the awning. So there's a little area under here where it's spring loaded. If I push in, I get it to come out. Once I get it to come out, I take, and there's a couple of clips on the side of the motorhome here. So once I get to come out, I have to take and I have to go down and then up and then push it down to lock it in place. And then on the handle here, there are some clips that if I want to move this to keep it up and out of the way, I simply just move it and then lock it into place. There's also one other thing that we can do. We can brace the arms by simply pulling this tab here. And once I pull this tab, I can line this up, and you can see here, I can line it up into this area, and that just makes the whole entire thing a lot stronger. Creating a triangle here obviously increases exactly what it's going to be. Back to the inside. You're gonna have all of the living things that you need on the inside here. We'll talk about the driving part in just a second, but inside the kitchen here, everything is just like you have in your house. You got a little pull-out tray here that you can use for just storing things, cutting board, whatever. You've got a 110 volt outlet, that's right here. So USB ports and 110 volt. Microwave, so regular old microwave here. You've got your refrigerator. One thing on the refrigerator, you push down on the top, so you kind of pull up and push down on the top. That allows you access inside the refrigerator. You have a cooktop here. So on your cooktop, you simply lift up and then the top stays in place. And then if you want to use it, you go to the light button here, push the lighter, and you can see we got a flame now, high, low. Sink wise, there's your sink. Got a little plunger in there, so if you want to close the sink off and fill it up, there it is. Obviously this turns here. You have your window shades. Window shades are super easy. They just pull up and pull down. You also have windows that open. So on this vehicle, you have windows that open, and if you want to open the windows, you push the two tabs in place here. Other hand takes, pulls the window back. You can see that there's a screen connected to it. You can open this in a couple different positions to make it bigger or smaller. And on that screen, you can also take and you can disconnect the screen if you want to. That way you don't have the screen in your way. You want the screen back, simply just place it over the top of the back, take your window, put it in place. Once you get it in place, off and running. Storage, obviously storage up above, multiple storage compartments all the way up and down. We talked about, we've got your roof vent up here in the top. You do have a pair of seat belts back here. So this sofa here has two seat belts. You've got some throw pillows here. These pillows here that can be used obviously when you sleep, when you're sitting here. They have Velcro on them so they come apart, so you can use those for a wedge. This bed is a little bit shorter than this bed, so whoever's taller will sleep on the passenger side. And this even has a headrest that actually goes up and down. So you can take the headrest here, you can just lift up on it, drops down, goes flat, then you got a couple different positions, and you kind of position your head up. That way, if you got any snores, you can get rid of those snores. You do have lights, so the lights turn on by pushing in the middle. Smoke detector, we'll make sure there's a clean battery in there, so that'll all be good. And then we have to talk about this compartment. So this compartment has a few things in it. First of all, you've got your TV, you've got your TV remote, you've got an HDMI connector, so if you had Apple TV, if you had your phone that you had YouTube videos on, something you want to plug into the HDMI, that'll run to the TV. You also have USB ports. You also have an air antenna on the roof, so you can program in local channels. And then this is the Truma water heating and furnace system. This system combines both functions. It's super easy to use. The center dial here is kind of what does everything on there. So as soon as you touch that, the light will come on. Push the button in the center, The first thing that pops up, that is going to be for your heating inside of the coach, the furnace. The second item here is for your water heating. So with that flashing, I push the button again. What I do is I take it, I just turn it to the temperature I want it to be inside of the coach. So it's a nice 38 degrees here. So we're going to turn this up to 68. Once you turn that on, you can take and you can push the button to go back, or you can hit the back button. That's going to keep the heat going. So as long as you need heat, it'll turn on automatically. It's nice and quiet. You won't even hear it run. The second thing you're going to make sure of is the water heater. That's probably the one that you'll have to turn on and off more often. So the water heater, we go here, we push the button in the center, we go from off. We have a couple modes. We have eco mode, which that is only going to heat up when it absolutely needs it. It's going to be at the lowest level, so it'll have the least amount of hot water. You go to hot, which will give you a little bit more hot water, which might be what you're doing if you're doing dishes. And then you go to boost mode. Boost mode is the one that most people want to have on whenever they take a shower, especially if you have a couple people that are taking showers. And just a reminder, this is a small motorhome. Quick showers are usually what we recommend, but when you're on boost mode, you can see there's a couple things that take place. Let me go back here and get to the water heater again. Go to the water heater, we go up here, we go to boost mode, we push it in there, and you can see that it's showing boost. So right now, it's giving me heating, that's what the flame is, it's giving me boost mode on the water heater. Those are really the only two things that you're gonna need to know, and then anytime you want to change those, you simply push the button, flip it over to either one of them. I'm gonna turn this off now, and then I'm gonna go back here, I'm gonna turn off the heating inside of the coach by just turning it all the way down until I get back to 0, or off. That's all there is to it. All right, working our way back here just a little bit further, you will see as we come back here in the bathroom, there's a couple of cool things. First of all, there are some latches here on the door, so you'll take those off so you can close the door. In transit, if you put those on, it'll keep the doors from moving back and forth. But once you take those two and you are wanting to use the restroom, you leave those off. These doors simply slide together. When it's time to come out, just open those back up. You do have nice, decent wardrobe storage here in the back, along with some drawer storage. There is some extra toilet paper in here. I will recommend that if you do have to buy toilet paper, it is the rapidly dissolving, super thin, single ply type that you find at Walmart, or any of the camping stores will have it. And then here, this is what your bathroom is. So one of the things we discovered is that it's good to have a little latch on the back door, because since this started off as a commercial vehicle, these doors unlock with the switch up front. So that means if people aren't paying attention, somebody comes here to the bathroom and they're using the bathroom, and somebody opens the rear door because it's unlocked, they can open it. Put this little latch on here when you're not using the back doors. That way if somebody tries to open it, it won't let the doors open. They'll know not to come in. Toilet paper holder down here. We already talked a little bit about the sink as we flipped it down. We also have a medicine cabinet that's up here, so put some stuff up there in the medicine cabinet. Shower-wise, you've got a handle here that you can move that around. And then, as we talked about before, this is your shower curtain. Shower curtain runs on a track all the way around. And then there's also your vent. So this vent, we push straight up on the vent. That opens the vent, and then we can turn it on. And actually, that switch must be up at the front. Oh, I'm sorry, the switch is not. The switch is back here in the back. I forgot about that. So there's your light switch, and there's your fan switch, which I just turned off. So use the fan switch up here, on and off, light switch, on and off. It's all racked back here in the back. All right, that is a quick rundown of what the interior of the coach looks like. You've got some storage spaces up here. We're going to talk a little bit about the cockpit now. All right, so if you want to take and you want to move the seats here, what we want to do is we want to rotate them around. So there's a couple of things. First of all, you want to take on the front here, move the seat up as far as you can. Once you move the seat up as far as you can, there are a couple of other controls. So you have a couple of controls here that you adjust the seat up and down. And then down here at the bottom, you can see there's a little cutout. That little cutout, when you take and you pull up on that, once you pull up on that, you can rotate the seat around. So, rotate the seat around on the passenger side, and then you can do the exact same thing here on the driver's side. Same way to do it. simply pull up on this latch and then it swings around. The only thing on the driver's side is you will have to move the seat all the way up so you can spin it all the way around. That way this becomes part of your living area. With the seats rotated here in the cockpit area, there is a table here that we can use. So if you see here, we can pull this table out, flip it over, put it back down here, and then this becomes the perfect place to have a meal, a cup of coffee, work on your laptop, shoot your next YouTube video, whatever it might be. There's also some connections underneath here, which are really nice. So you've got some USB and 110 connections, so you got power everywhere you go. A couple other things that we'll talk about is up here in the cockpit, you do have a couple of really cool things. So first of all, we have, we flip the key on here. And just FYI, this has to be in the forward-facing position to drive. It only locks in place in the front, so anybody that's trying to ride backwards will be unsafe and can't wear the seatbelt. One of the things that we really like about this is this has got a Pioneer radio. It takes up the whole entire area. This is all Apple CarPlay and Android Auto based, so you can take anything that's off your phone and more or less put it on the screen. Makes it super easy to make calls, makes it really nice when you want to use your maps. So if you're looking at Apple Maps, Google Maps, Waze, all of that can run through the head unit. It's really easy to operate. You simply go in, whether you have music that you have on your phone, you can go Bluetooth, you can do whatever. But it also has some really cool features too, that if I go up here, let's see here to the settings area, I can get to my backup monitor. So this does have a backup monitor. It also has backup sensors on it. So you'll be able to see everything that's going on in the back of the vehicle. But then if you get too close to something, it's going to start beeping and letting you know that it's getting close to where you're at. A couple other things here. If we go down here and we go to the AV button here, you can see the different sources that are going on here. You can also look at some of the car features. This is kind of a neat thing where we can see the load, the miles per hour, we can see our fuel level, we can see our intake, a couple other things. We can see our tire pressure monitoring, which is really a nice thing. So you want to be in that 75 to 80 pounds on the tires here cold. You can also see this is your parking assist. You won't be able to see this when you go in reverse because reverse is always going to take it to the video over this, but this does give you some cool things that you can work with. You can also reset the clock from the dash radio. When you reset the clock, it'll reset the clock in your instrument cluster too. These are your fog lights here. You can see they go on and off. This is your lock. This is a central lock button. So when all the doors are closed, you can hit that and lock all the buttons. You do have some USB ports here. So USB and a 12 volt. And then we also have a USB port down here. The USB port that's down here, this is what you'll connect to if you want to use your phone on the radio. So that all goes right there. Also, one thing I didn't talk about is that we do have some shades. So there are some shades that are located in the overhead area here, right above our heads. That will take and give you a windshield shade. It'll also give you shades that go on the side windows. So the windshield shade goes in, the side window shades are magnetic. They take and they connect to the metal on the door. That'll give you privacy up in the front of the coach here. All right, kind of last but not least, one of the couple things that we'll talk about here is this vehicle does have the reliable battery pack on it. So that battery system is the most advanced battery system that there is in the RV market right now. It's got a 3,000 watt inverter. It can run everything in the vehicle. It's 11,000 watts. The cool thing about it, there's a generator under the hood. So it's not a traditional generator, which is loud and noisy on the outside. It's under the hood. It runs when the engine runs. So every time that you're driving, as long as that battery disconnect is on that we talked about, it's going to charge the battery. There are times though where you might want to be gone for the day and the air conditioner is running and you know it's going to put a bigger load on the battery. There is a way that you can ensure that the batteries won't run too low by putting the coach into auto start mode. So auto start mode is a mode that we have that more or less senses when the batteries get to about 30%. If they get to 30%, it turns the vehicle on, starts the engine, moves it into a high idle position, and from that high idle position then charges the batteries. The generator under the hood produces about 280 amps of electricity, so it'll charge the battery very, very quickly. If you want to use the auto start system, it's a really simple function, but there are a couple key rules to it. The first thing is that sit in the driver's seat here, and in the driver's seat, you'll see the steering wheel, and then off to your left side, you're gonna see a small silver switch located right off here. That's actually the auto start function. So a couple of things. First of all, we have to make sure that our emergency brake is on, okay? Emergency brake is on. We need to make sure that we do not touch the gas or the accelerator pedal. Then we take our key and we go and we insert it in the ignition and we turn it to the on position. We keep everything, feet and everything off. Then we simply come in to that button and we hold that button down until it turns red. When it turns red, that puts it into monitor mode. Monitor mode is doing nothing more but looking at the battery, and it's making sure that it has the correct voltage. If it does, it's not going to do anything. Take our key, pull it back out of the ignition. Once again, we don't let off the brake, we don't touch the brake, we don't turn the engine on. At any time, if we turn the engine on, we select the emergency brake off, or we start driving, that's going to turn off the monitor mode, and then you'll have to re-engage that next time. So you can see here that little beeping there, that just turned everything off. You'll see our red light is still engaged. If I were to go and I were to hit the brake, you can see here that it'll stay on. Then when I go back here to turn the ignition back on, if I take and I push the brake, you can see it starts blinking. So now it's coming out of monitor mode. The reason that it's reset every single time is because that way you don't assume that it's on every time, and then you actually have to physically go and do the process. So that way, if you put it in a garage or you put it in a place that you don't want to have it automatically start, you don't have to worry about that. Well, we hope you enjoyed the quick walkthrough here of exactly how the motorhome works. We're hoping that if you have any questions, you'll go to that owner's resource site that's located on our website. We also hope that this gave you at least a little bit of information to get you started so that you can start off on your road trip or your camping adventure in the right way. Thanks for joining us.